You are listening to the Sports and Sorts podcast.
Going back choice, looking up, see ya! 3,000 history.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof.
Looking, wrong in the end zone.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles?
Little roller up along first. Behind the man. He gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Yes! Welcome back to Sports and Source. This is episode 109. And we got a great show today. We got a lot to talk about. Some MLB, as you can see in the title, if you're watching live on Facebook. We got a little bit of MLB with the Yankees. We got some NFL contract stuff. Guaranteed money is getting out of control. Is it good? Is it bad? Do we care? We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Also, got a new segment. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. This is something the Bry Man had talked to me about, and I'm just going to let him roll with it. And it's called What Warms the Bry Man's Heart? And lastly, we will also be talking about Sorts, the Sorts topic, which is The First Man, Neil Armstrong movie that's coming out. We're going to be talking about that. There's some controversy flowing around that movie, so we're going to talk about that just briefly. But I'm sure we're going to come across a couple other topics as well. So we got a great show today. So let's go.
You are listening to Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bry Man.
All right, so I'm Shane Moore, as you know. You can, and this is the Bry Man.
That's me.
We're pretty. I mean, now that you can see our faces, you kind of know who we are. I think, possibly.
They're probably thinking, please go back to audio only.
Oh, good times. Good times. All right, so let's start off.
The state of the Yankees.
So we're going to talk a little Yankee stuff right here. Not going to spend too much time because I don't really think we have to.
Who wants to?
The 40-man rosters have expanded. They have expanded to the 40-man rosters. You have all those usual managers that are pissed off about the expansion in the most detrimental part of the season, the last month, where everybody's in all the rosters all change. So then they have to figure out a new way to use their bullpens and all that kind of stuff. Whatever, wah. And mostly
Stephen Tarpley, come on down.
Mostly I'm pointing fingers at Buck Showalter because he is one of the biggest naysayers when it comes to this 40-man roster thing. I think he always says if you're going to do it, you should do it earlier in the season, and then narrow the rosters down to the actual playoff team when you get closer to the end of the season. I'm not 100% sure if that's what he said, but he usually says something along those lines, which is it is what it is. But anyway, Yankees had their week last week. We both said that they should have finished 5-2. They finished 3-4. And the only thing that's good about last week is that the Red Sox are playing just as bad right now. Which it's good that the fact that they're playing poorly, but the bad part is that we didn't gain any ground.
Right, you need to capitalize on that.
Yes, when the Red Sox are playing bad, we have to play really well, and we did not.
And the other thing is, too, you needed with this soft part of the schedule to try and separate yourself from Oakland as much as possible, too. Now, granted, even if they go into Oakland and get swept this week, they still have a game-and-a-half lead on the wild card, but you cannot get swept there, though. You can't. At worst, you got to win a game. You have to win one game in Oakland. You have to win one game in Oakland, and I don't know if they have two. What do they have? 3 or 4 in Seattle?
It's 3-3, so there's 6 games.
It's 3-3. You got to win one. You got to go 2-4 this week because that only allows each of those teams to pick up one game on you. You have to go 2-4, and you got to win one in Oakland, and you got to win one in Seattle. If you get any more than that, great. If you go 3-3 or better, great.
I think they have to go 3-3 this week, and that is mainly not because of the wild card. Because I honestly don't care about the wild card. Like I feel like the wild card is in hand.
You need to care about that though, because that's the path to the playoffs, right? They're not winning the division.
I'm not worried about it because I think they have such a good lead, and they're a better team than those teams. So I'm not that worried about it. I need them to go 4-2 this week. I think 3-3 is the absolute minimum, but I need them to go 4-2 this week so that they can start picking up some ground because they have a lot of games left with the Red Sox.
Did you see any evidence over this past week of letting guys like Nick Castellanos and Nico Goodrum run wild on them, and then the debacle with the White Sox? Although let's be honest, the White Sox have played very well. But did you see any evidence in these last 7 games that suggests that they could either split or much less go 4-2?
No.
Against Seattle and Oakland.
I have not, but I think that when you get that injection of the guys that you've had in your lineup for a long time, like Sanchez comes back, Didi's going to be coming back. When all of those guys finally get in the lineup and they've been playing together again for a little while, then you can, because you still have all those they're not used to the roster, and Stanton's still kind of hurt. He hasn't been playing on a regular basis. Like I feel like if they were rolling out their everyday lineup, they would be like they were at the beginning of the season. They'd be just rolling through teams. So
maybe.
That's just how I feel about this team. I think that they do have a skilled team, a very skilled team. I do feel like Boone gets kind of in their way sometimes and has probably cost them a lot more games than you would think, just based on their record.
I think he's cost them a lot of games this year, but
it's a handful at least.
I believe the count by my calculations is up to a baker's dozen at this point, but I'm not.
It's a lot. And I mean, you have to kind of the games that he's lost. You also have to go with the games that he's won, and I think that he's got a losing war right now. If you have a manager's war, he's probably got a losing war of about 5 games, which is a big deal. Like a manager shouldn't impact the game more than a couple games a year. And if they do, you better hope he's doing it like on a positive level because Boone has really struggled with that this year. So I just feel like the pitching staff, they haven't been getting on the same page. You know, you have as the offense, and the defense has struggled from time, and it shows right there. Like Gleyber Torres playing short, you can see why he's not a shortstop. He doesn't have as much range. His glove isn't quite as good. His glove is much better at second than it is at short. And the whole infield is far worse when Didi's out of the lineup. And Didi, in my opinion, he's just a good shortstop. He's not a great shortstop. I would almost say, you know what? Take the bat out of Torreya's hands, put Gleyber Torres back at second, and put Adeiny Hechavarria at shortstop, and that will shore up your defense because you need defense. I mean, Didi he's been hot and cold this year on offense, but you really need that defense, that shortstop position with their defense. You need it to be 100%. Like it has to be like whenever a ball's hit anywhere near there, you don't have to worry about it. You have a guy that can command the whole infield. You know, make sure that Andujar is in the right positions. Make sure that Gleyber Torres is in the right positions. You know, a real game caller on the field for the infield and even in the outfield. And it bothers me a little bit that they haven't really done that yet. I mean, they've had Echevarria for a couple games now, and he's not being put in there. And yes, he is kind of a liability at bat, but I think he hits left-handers really well.
I wouldn't call him a liability. He's just sort of an average.
But he hits left-handers really well. And if that's the case, just keep him in there. Just keep him in there. You're gaining so much more on the defense side of things.
I wouldn't say he's like an automatic out. He's not like Shane Robinson bad.
No. Well, nobody's that bad. I mean, that's just where we were at for a little while.
You want to know my biggest issue with this team, and I've kind of said it all year, is I feel like they have a glass jaw. They get down in a game, they get punched in the mouth early, and sometimes they come back, but for the most part, it seems like, at least in all the games that I've been watching, where they get down early, they get cracked in the jaw, and they just can't get up off the mat. And
They've been coming back. They haven't started hitting until the 7th inning.
I mean, I don't mean like getting down like 1 run and coming back. I mean like they get down 3 or 4 runs, and I throw my hands up because I'm like, this game's over. What bothers me is that like Boston can get down by like 4 or 5, maybe 6 runs, and you're like, there's no way this game is over. And I think honestly, that's actually the biggest difference between the Yankees and the Red Sox.
That's how the Yankees were in the first half of the season.
In the first half of the season, they were
right
like that
because now they haven't been healthy for a half a season.
I don't know. I mean, at some point, you're getting guys back now. At some point, you need a couple of days now,
to get the
Yesterday, what drove me bonkers was, you get to within 8-5, and you come within 1 foot of Greg Bird maybe winning the game for you.
Yeah.
And I actually wanted Greg Bird up in that spot because I was like, you know what? This feels like a moment right here. Like this kid needs this so badly. And I actually thought, for all my pessimism, I thought he was going to hit a home run there. And as soon as that ball came off his bat, I was in the launch position, ready to go nuts.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted that for Greg Bird.
Me too.
And then 1 foot short, and I was like, oh man, like this guy just can't catch a break.
Yeah.
But
he hit the ball well, so that's good.
He did, and I actually I didn't have any issue. I didn't have any issue with that, like with that call either. I kind of wanted Bird up in that spot. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, how do you not bring Stanton up there?"
They were giving him the day off. I mean,
yeah, I was okay with that, but I just yesterday I think was just kind of like one of those games. They got down by. They get down by 2.
My biggest problem, and this is where you're.
Why do you bring Tarpley into that game? It's 8-5. You're only down 3 going into the 9th. You know you could score some runs off of this team. You bring this kid in for his first big league appearance, and he immediately gives up 3 more runs, and then the game is over. Because if you look what happened in the bottom of the 9th, they actually get a couple of runs. They load the bases. It's a totally different story if it's 8-5 going into that 9th. It's a different story. And at that point, you go into the 9th, you're down 11-5. You've thrown the game away.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. You can mount a little comeback, get 2 or 3 runs. You're not going to get 6.
Well,
and it's I don't know. That was a head scratcher to me. I don't know if it was Boone who made the decision from the press box or whatever to bring Tarpley in. But to me, that was kind of like, we gave it our best shot in the 8th there. Now let's get this kid in the game. Let's see what he can do. Let's give him an inning. Yeah. Instead of thinking, wait a minute, why are we waving the white flag in the 9th inning here when we still have one more crack?
I think that's the biggest issue is that this has happened a lot over the last month where the Yankees, they get close or they get tied or they take a 1-run lead and they come back the next inning and give up 2 more runs or give up another run and they give up the lead again. I think that's the biggest issue with a bullpen that's supposed to be so dominant. It's like it's either that Boone and Rothschild are making the wrong calls all the time or something. Like something weird is going on. And it's tough to really put a finger on that part of it. Like, why can they not just hold on to the lead with a dominant bullpen like they have? Their rotation is not bad. Tanaka has pitched well. Severino's starting to pitch better. Lance Lynn has kind of pitched okay. Happ has pitched really well, except for 1 start. They have a good rotation. They have a dominant bullpen. They shouldn't be, when they get a lead, they shouldn't just automatically give it right back the next inning. And that has happened a lot over the last month. So that's kind of where I'm at with the Yankees right now. I feel like that this coming week is really important for them they have to go 3-3. I would like them to go 4-2. And I would like to see the Red Sox keep playing the way that they've been playing, which is just okay. I would like to see Chris Sale stay on the DL a little bit longer. I'd like to see David Price's wrist become a little bit more of an ouchie, and not be able to come back for a little while because he's been pitching very well for them. Although I do want to face David Price because I still do not fear him. It'll take several dominant starts in big spots for me to start fearing David Price. But and he's pitched well against us once in like 10 years.
I mean, even when he was at his peak and he was, a true ace, he never scared the Yankees.
Well, he's a fastball pitcher, and he's kind of changing now. He's changing that a little bit. But he is a dominant fastball pitcher, and The Yankees don't fear the fastball. Most
except for Greg Bird, who can't hit anything, above 94.
Made contact. Let's hope that that's a promise to possibly getting Luke Voigt out of the lineup, and getting the Greg Bird that every Yankee fan has wanted. I don't know if we're going to get him. He might be gone after this year. I don't know what's going to happen with Greg Bird, but things have not been going well.
It's not what you want.
Damian says that David Price is morphing into a wily veteran.
Well, he may be headed the Andy Pettitte route, which is what you would absolutely hope for. If you get like another few years out of David Price in that Andy Pettitte mold, you're going to win a World Series or two.
Yeah.
Especially if you compare him with Sale, because if he can give you what Andy Pettitte gave the Yankees, in those last few years, especially like what they had in 2009. Where Andy Pettitte won every single clinching game of the 2009 postseason. I mean,
but Andy Pettitte was clutch throughout his whole career.
No, I know.
But David Price.
No, but I mean, if you get even that sort of similar level of production, no, I know David Price is not giving you any reason to believe that he could do that. But if that's what he could become, and he can become the sort of quote unquote wily veteran, now the Red Sox are going to win.
Damian says he thinks he's throwing the four seamer less and the cutter more, but still. I just don't. He doesn't scare me. I've never really been super impressed with his stuff. I think he's a great regular season pitcher.
I think Yankee fans are probably less afraid of David Price than maybe another average, fans team.
I would rather face David Price than Rodriguez. I'd rather face David Price than Porcello. I'd rather face David Price than Chris Sale, obviously.
I would too, because I would too. I think because. I don't like Porcello his stuff can just be nasty and filthy if he's on, and if he's and that's it's a coin flip maybe, but that's still that's not anything, because if he's got his stuff on in a playoff game, you're probably not going to hit him. And Price though, I feel like David Price, what you're going to get. Like it just sort of like it is what it is, right? He's going to go out there, he's going to throw this stuff. And if he's on, it doesn't mean he's unhittable. Right. It might make him a little tougher to hit. Like Porcello, I feel like if Porcello's on, he could be unhittable. Like when he was on, when he won the Cy Young a couple of years ago, he was on all the time.
Yeah.
And he pitched really well, and their offense produced for him obviously too. But when he has the potential for filthy stuff, we all know what Chris Sale. I mean, you just don't want to face Chris Sale regardless. But yeah, Rodriguez too. I agree with you on Rodriguez. Price, I feel like what you're going to get. Can you hit him? That's going to be the question.
Yeah. All right. So, and then now we're going to be playing the A's coming this week, starting tonight. And I'm actually very excited to watch these three games, because I have been wanting to see the A's face to face. Like I want to actually see their lineup. I want to see their rotation. I want to see why they are playing as good as they are, because I don't get to see them play on a regular basis. I mean, they're a West Coast team. They play late most of the time, and it's not like they come to the East Coast very much to play against the Yankees and the Red Sox, so I don't get the chance to see them very much. So
no, I think the Yankees. What are they? The Yankees are 2-1 against them this year, I think.
I think so. And they beat them pretty handily last year too. But it's a little bit different of a team. Although
different.
Manaya's out. I mean, he's probably out for the rest of the season.
And actually, didn't Jackson pitch last night? So I'm not sure who the Yankees are seeing in the A's rotation this week. But
they're playing Cahill tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and he doesn't have, it's not like he has it's not like he has a lot of work this year. He's 5-3 with a 3.6 ERA. So it's not like he's, tremendous. I'm trying to see if I can find the probable pitchers. So it's Cahill, to be announced, and then Mike Fiers.
Fiers is good.
He's good. He's good. He's above average. He's he strikes out a lot of batters, which could be a fall for the Yankees, because the Yankees strike out a lot. So that could be a problem. If he's a little wild, then the Yankees could put up a lot of numbers against him. They could put a lot of numbers against him, because they are a patient team, but they will let pitchers get ahead of them if they're throwing strikes. And if they're throwing strikes, then they could be it could be the 7th inning and he could only have 80 pitches thrown and have about 11, 12 strikeouts already, because that can happen. But he's going. So it's Sabathia versus Cahill tonight, J.A. Happ versus they don't know, and then Severino versus Fires. So I like our rotation setting up against them.
I mean, yeah,
sure.
You should like that. Yeah.
So I'm very, very excited about that. All right. And then we go to the Mariners, and obviously we're not going to really know the probables there, but maybe we'll talk about that a little bit on Wednesday, because their matchup it's going to be
well, you're going to get Tanaka
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think
you're getting Tanaka, Paxton in Game 1, and then you got Lance Lynn and King Felix in the second game, and then it looks like you've got CC and Erasmo Ramirez in the getaway game.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I like that matchup, too. I mean, Felix always has a way of pitching well against the Yankees. He can channel his younger self and strike out a lot of batters. Like I said, he's a smart guy. He's going to know to throw strikes, especially early in the count, and get ahead. And that is usually it's a detriment to the Yankees. Like,
I mean, again,
that's their Achilles heel.
I hate to sound like sort of defensive and defeatist here, but honestly, just get one game in each of these series. Just get one. Just get 1 out of 3 against each of those teams, and then all each one does is pick up one game on you. That's it. That is harmless. That's harmless. But I'm very concerned that that's not going to happen. I think there's a potential for 1-5, and just the way they played against Detroit and Chicago does not build any confidence going into a West Coast trip. Yeah. And as we know, historically for the Yankees, the West Coast is a house of horrors. So,
it'll be very interesting.
Just get
Damian.
Give me 2 and 4 and 1 in each of those series, and I'll be happy. I'll be happy.
Yeah,
which is horrible to say.
That is bad. That's bad. That's a bad week. I'd be actually probably pretty pissed if they
go 3-3. If they go 3-3, I'm gonna have a party. I'm literally gonna throw a party over here.
Party at Ryman's house.
Yeah,
if Focal bangers for everyone.
Yeah, Alchemist all around, baby. If they go 3-3, if they play 500 ball this week, I'm having a party. I'll fly Damian up from Virginia. 3-3.
I think you'd love to take a tour of your man cave.
We're rooting for he can probably see it pretty well here.
So Damian's he's throwing a little shade at me here, saying good thing they're not a playoff caliber team. Shane, basically talking about the A's. I still don't think they're going to be in the playoffs. I think that this is going to be the start of their slide. I think you're going to see them because without Manaea and all that, I think they're going to fade off, and I think the Mariners will get hot. Cruz, the problem with right now is Nelson Cruz is hurt. Nelson Cruz usually plays very well in the last month of the season, and him being a little hurt because he fouled the ball off his foot, being a little hurt, he said he's not going to come out of the lineup. That makes me worried a little bit. Also, the karma issue. I'm not a big karma guy, but Cano, ever since he came back, they have not played well.
Yeah. He's going to
thing, coming back, helping a team that you're not going to be able to play in the playoffs with. The karma thing is just there, so it's gonna be.
He's gonna go nuts.
Cano?
He's gonna go bonkers.
Against the Yankees.
Yes, come on.
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But hey, if we went 3-0 against the A's and 0-3 versus the Mariners, that would help my prediction, and it would be 3-3. Damian get flown up.
I would take that. I would take that. I would take a sweep of Oakland and then getting swept by Seattle. I would.
I don't think there's no way. There's no way we're getting swept by Seattle.
And there's no way they're sweeping anybody either. So let's get that out of our heads. That's not going to happen.
Chris Davis does mash us against a little bit sometimes.
Chris Davis cause some damage.
Crush. KHRUSH.
The better Chris Davis.
Crush. Yeah.
I wish he was a free agent this year.
I don't. He's playing out of his mind this year. It's not the typical what's on the back of the baseball card.
He's a good player though.
Yeah, he's good. I think if he was a Yankee, his strikeout total would go up through the roof, and his home run totals would go down. Well, people would pitch him harder.
I don't know. He's a righty though, so he wouldn't be obsessed with the short porch.
It's not that. People would pitch him tougher in the Yankee uniform. That's just what happens.
How do you pitch? Yeah, but how do you pitch him tougher in a Yankee uniform with that protection around him?
Because the A's they still don't scare people. They still don't scare people. So they
No,
don't.
but I'm talking about you have to pull that. Forget about Oakland though. You're pulling him out of that lineup and putting him into New York's lineup where he's surrounded by Judge and Stanton and Didi and Sanchez and maybe Manny Machado next year.
The pitchers focus on the whole lineup. They don't have to. They don't have to have a lapse in like time. Like in the National League, you can just roll through the pitcher. And you can just take a break and just roll through the pitcher, unless it's like Greinke or Mad Bum or somebody like that. Like other than that, you can just kind of breeze through them and take a break. In the A's lineup, there's places that you can take breaks and you can actually get out of your train of thought in your pitching. So that's just what I think about that. But as far as his stats, what is his stats this year? Let's see if I can. Because I think he's batting, like his batting average is higher than ever. His on-base percentage is higher than ever. It's everything's like going astronomical for him. Where is he? Chris Davis. There he is. So this year, he's already at 40 home runs, 105 RBIs, batting 246. That's pretty typical. 324 on base is a little bit higher. OPS is 30 points higher. That's pretty high. So yeah, I mean he's playing well. He's playing really well this year. His averages are 248, 320, 836, and he's 866 OPS this year.
He'll be in the low end of the MVP conversation.
Yes, yeah, he'll be in the top 20 probably, like 15 to 20 range. That's where I would guess. But I mean, the last 3 years, 42, 43, and 40 home runs and over 100 RBIs each time. 247, 247, 246 for average. But this is his highest
average?
OPS.
What's his average again this year?
246.
246.
Yeah.
So it's just,
okay. Listen. So 2014 to 2018, 244, 247, 247, 247, 246.
Very consistent.
What do you think he's going to bat next year?
248. He's consistent.
He's very consistent.
You give him that,
and he's going to hit 40 home runs.
Right. Well,
and
that's
have 100 RBIs.
You can live with the 248 when he's got 40 and 100.
He's actually striking out less this year, that's good. Good for him.
Yeah. All right. It's a good trend.
All right. Let's move on to the next topic, and we're going to head on over to what the heck?
You're going to head on over to that, the beep button?
Yeah. Oh, Damian Dyden posted, and this is going to go over Chris Davis. He's like Stanton. Stadiums aren't going to have a big impact on his home run totals because he doesn't hit cheap shots.
No, right. I agree. Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, he hits moonshots.
Yeah. When he crushes it, he rushes it.
Okay, move along.
All right, so we got a lot of NFL stuff real quick. Khalil Mack signed a 6-year, $141 million deal, $90 million guaranteed. Aaron Donald, 6 years, $135 million. $87 million guaranteed. Aaron Rodgers, 4 years, $134, $98.7 guaranteed. Guaranteed contracts becoming the new big thing, and these dollar amounts are getting very, very big. And I think it's good. I don't think they'll ever be fully guaranteed. I think in football you're never going to see a fully guaranteed contract. But this is good. This is very good for the NFL.
It's very good.
It's unfortunate for some of the teams. Like the Bears could literally have just mortgaged their future, and if they don't win in the next 2 years, they're going to be screwed big time. Because
I don't know their salary cap situation. I'd have to really look at it. I mean, I'm sure he's taking up somewhere in the 12 to 15% range of their entire salary cap. But
and they have Derek Carr, who has.
It's not unheard of though for a team to have one particular player who absorbs. So I mean, I think JJ Watt takes up like 12% of. Yeah, that's the problem. Is you're talking about the Raiders have Derek Carr.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
but that way actually was, I think, one of John Gruden's arguments as to why they couldn't keep Mack, because Gruden said he's like if you look at what the Bears gave him, he's like we couldn't even come close to that. He's like, you got to remember, we've already got Derek Carr and his $125 million contract on the books to be able to carry those two.
Yeah, and that's why Gruden couldn't get the job done. I mean,
yeah.
So
I don't know
just
that
real
Gruden
quick, somebody's saying hello, and it's not to me.
Okay.
Heather Iannucci?
Oh, yeah. Hi, Heather. How you doing? It's nice that she's watching. This is nice. See, you get Labor Day. People are kind of home relaxing.
Yeah.
They got us on. It's good.
All right. So, so you have their team it's going to be very interesting, the Bears, to see how they do this. Because, like I said, Gruden couldn't sign those 2 contracts. And you can't win with just one big contract on defense. I mean, obviously the Texans have become a little unlucky with their J.J. Watt contract because he's been getting hurt like crazy over the last couple of years. And when he gets hurt, their defense is totally different.
Sure.
And now that they have, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens because I don't know how much longer his contract goes for, J.J. Watt. But
he's still got a few more years. But yeah, he takes up about 12 to 12.5%, I think, of their entire.
Because Deshaun's going to want, he's going to want a big contract.
Eventually, but you still have after this year 2 more years of him on the rookie contract. So you can cross that bridge when you get there. And by that time, who knows? JJ might be gone. I mean, you don't know.
Maybe. Who are you going to replace him with? That's the problem.
But I want to say though, as far as these contracts go with the guaranteed dollars, it's great. It's great because the NFL is the one league where you are truly one hit away from being paralyzed, and these guys need to get as many guaranteed dollars as they can. What you hope has to happen, the trend that you have to see, is that this trickles down to the mid-level players as well. It can't just be the rich getting richer. That trend has to work its way down throughout the entire framework of a team, from mid-level guys to even lower-level guys, because all NFL players need to get guaranteed dollars. If they're not getting guaranteed dollars, it's the one sport where it just doesn't make any sense. It's so it's so backwards. Baseball players get these guaranteed contracts. They get paid ridiculous amounts of money. You're going to have 2 guys next year, in Manny Machado and Bryce Harper, who are going to get $300+ million contracts each. Mm-hmm. All of that money will be guaranteed. There's going to be over $500 million guaranteed to Manny Machado and Bryce Harper next year. And in the NFL, you've never heard of a $200 million contract. That doesn't even exist.
But you know why?
It's crazy.
You know why? Because the managers, the general managers and the owners, they don't want to deal with that either. They don't want to be paying somebody who got hurt. That's the problem, is that in that brutal of a sport, you have to take it on both sides. Like, the owners can't take on a huge guaranteed contract and then have something like J.J. Watt happen where he gets hurt year after year after year and they're paying him a buttload of money and it's crippling their team.
But football's like the most profitable sport. Just increase the salary cap.
They are. They're slowly increasing it.
I know. They increase it incrementally every year. It's like a COLA raise. It's like a cost of living adjustment, essentially.
But it's not. In the next and within like 5 years, 5 to 7 years, the salary cap's going to be very large. That's when you're going to see.
I am especially.
I think the biggest thing the NFL players need to do is they need to do a better job negotiating during that. Well, they have to guarantee themselves medical and all that stuff, medical and insurance and stuff like that. For if you play in the league for more than 2 years, like 2 years or more, they need to be able to have a medical plan for them set up for the next 20 plus years, because that's the problem, is that the medical bills rip them to shreds. You have these guys who are making, they make $100,000, $200,000. They played a season, and they wreck their knee or wreck their hip, and they can't walk for 2 years, but they have no medical insurance, and the team's not going to pay for it anymore because they're not coming back.
It's a problem. It's a major problem.
That's the problem. Is that the medical insurance? Like, if you play I can't remember what the year is, but like if you play in the major leagues in baseball for so many years. Like, I think it's if you play for 10 years, you're guaranteed medical for life.
Yeah.
Like, that is huge. And that's a sport that doesn't even, you don't, like, it's not that brutal of a sport. I mean, you tear up your arm, you tear up your back, you tear up your knees, and you're going to need medical, but it's not like football where the concussions
and all that stuff.
The NFL
should do that, except it should be for 5 years. Because that's the average lifespan of a football player.
Yes. Yeah. If you play more than 5 years, you're guaranteed for life. If you play for 2 years, you're guaranteed for like 15 years or something.
Right.
Like
It should be prorated.
Yes.
Yeah. It should be prorated.
I mean, it really should. I mean, it's the only way to really truly protect yourselves.
That's the other epidemic in the NFL, though, is that the players' union in the NFL is a joke. It's terrible. They've really got to, fortify themselves there. It's a big problem. And in baseball, none of that would ever happen. That players' union is so strong. The problem, with the NFL is, of course, like any other sport, you don't want to risk a strike because you can see what that does with the fans. And the NFL is in a very delicate place right now as it is. They are losing fans. Right or wrong over this, all this ridiculous national anthem stuff, but fans have walked away from the game. I mean, there are fans who, this thing of kneeling for the national anthem, regardless of which side you stand, has created controversy and it has become polarizing. And the NFL is in a delicate position right now. They are losing fans. I think they should be losing fans for completely different reasons. I think they should be losing fans because the NFL officiating is going to make the NFL so unwatchable this year because every other play, if not every play, is going to get a whistle for a ridiculous penalty that should have never been called.
Yeah.
That's what's going to make the NFL unwatchable. Not guys kneeling before a game for a national anthem. It means absolutely nothing. Referees throwing flags on every play is going to be an epidemic issue. It's going to be horrifying to watch. I'm really not looking forward to that this year. I have to be honest. That scares me more than anything. And I mean, as a Dolphins fan, football games are already really, really unbearable. You're going to throw this. You're going to throw this into the mix. I mean, I have to watch the Dolphins, which is already a below average product, and then on top of it, I have to watch referees throwing a flag every play. Oh my God.
I think it'll get better. It'll be better during the regular season. Not
the Dolphins part, but the flag throwing thing.
The flag throwing, yeah.
Maybe.
I think it's going to be better in the regular season. I looked it up. Damian said that he posted that MLB players have a health plan for life if they get into one MLB game, just one game. And I looked it up, and it's true. They get a $34,000 annual pension plan.
This is for baseball players? If they get into one
game, yeah.
Game?
And then, so the MLB players must play 43 days in the majors to earn a minimum of $34,000 annual pension plan. And just one day in the majors gets them lifetime health care coverage. And after 10 years in the big leagues, benefits grow to $100,000 annually.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I mean, but you know what? That's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's baseball doing it right. Why can't the NFL be like this?
Because if you don't,
there's greedy owners.
Yeah. If you don't do
and
that,
and a bad union. Yeah, greedy owners and a bad union. That's what it comes down to.
If you don't do that, I mean, they only get to play for such a short period of time. Even in the MLB, I mean, when you play 20 years, still, when you retire, you're 40. Like you still have another 40 years of life to go. Like that money's not gonna. The money might not last you, and it hasn't for a lot of. No. Baseball's pretty good about it, but for the most part, that money. I mean, just ask in basketball. What was it? Antonio. He played for the Celtics. What's his name?
Was it Davis?
No.
No.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
And he made like $100 million in his career.
Yeah.
And he's broke. He was broke as of like 3 or 4 years ago. What you really need to do is you have to have a Bobby Bonilla contract where you're still making like 1.3 million. Yeah.
We're still on the salary.
Yeah, making 1.3 million.
Still on the ledger, 15 years after you played your last game.
Yes. Antonio Walker, yes.
Antonio Walker, yes.
Damien coming through.
Antoine Walker.
That's right, Antoine Walker, yeah.
Oh, that's why I didn't get it, because I was like, wait.
It's somebody I couldn't remember his name.
Antoine Walker.
It was totally just out of the blue there.
The bell's keeping us on.
Yeah, so, all right. So, that's, I mean, we'll both for the guaranteed contracts. I just never think they're going to be fully guaranteed, but we do think that
I like the trend. I want to see it trickle its way down.
Yeah.
The roster.
Because that's the problem is that I think that's where Gruden was having an issue with Mac is that, look, if you want to win and you want to make sure that we keep some of our key offensive line components so that we can protect Derek Carr and keep some cornerbacks for our team so that, you're not having to do all of this by yourself, you have to take a little less money. And we have to be able to work this out, but his demands were just way too high. And
I understand it. I understand it from Khalil Mack's perspective too.
The problem is, though, he's with the Bears now. Bears don't have a great outlook. I mean, if Trubisky falls flat,
It's a lot. There's a lot riding on him.
They could be in some serious trouble. And now they lost a bunch of draft picks. So it's like this move could literally set them back 7 or 8 years.
There was risk on both sides here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We knew that.
But at least you have more foundation as a Raider. With Derek Carr, you have a foundation.
You've also cleared some significant
and you can
salary
sign
cap
players.
Space, and you've got
a bunch of draft picks where you can really shore up your offensive line.
You've got 4 first-round picks over the next 2 years.
Yeah,
so you should be able to get it right. You should be able to get it right with high-impact players who will be playing on rookie contracts for the next,
absolutely
4 to 5 years. You really need to be able to make headway there with those guys.
All right. So now we are going.
That's going to be your window if you're the Raiders. The Raiders' window is going to be over the next 5 years.
The Raiders.
Yeah.
And the Bears. They could literally go from if Trubisky doesn't pan out, they could literally be a bottom tier team for the next 7 or 8 years.
Well, I was going to say the Raiders' window to win will probably be within the next 4 to 6 years, and the Bears' window could close for the next 4 to 6 years if Trubisky is not who you drafted him to be.
Hashtag true facts.
True facts.
All right. I did it again. I hit the wrong button.
Now we're live, so.
You are listening to the Sports and Swords podcast.
Yes, you are, and we're going to actually head over to our commercial real quick, and then we'll be back with a new segment called What Warms the Bry Man's Heart? So we'll be right back after this.
Very little.
Hubbard's drop deep to left field. Going back choice. Looking up. See ya. 3,000.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bry Man. 75% sports and 25% sorts.
All right. I figured I'd play this. I'm a big U2 fan. Actually, we had the little picnic that we had yesterday. We had a little picnic yesterday, and we had some people over, some friends. I invited you kind of last minute, but you're busy. So, we ended the night listening to a bunch of U2. Like over the speakers outside.
That's how you put a flourish on a day.
Yeah. Me and my buddy Sean, who I think you met at the party.
Yes.
We were just, reminiscing about, like when we started listening to U2 and how they've grown as a group, and, they've been just going on for decade after decade after decade, and really just listening to a lot of songs that we enjoyed. So, now we're going to get into a little something called What Warms the Bry Man's Heart. What warms it, buddy? What warms it?
If you know me, as you do, there's very little that warms my heart. I would say things like my family warm my heart, and a good Dunkin' Donuts pumpkin coffee in the morning warms my heart. But we actually had some heartwarming, I believe it to be heartwarming news yesterday in the NFL. A signing that took place, which didn't really move the needle in terms of overall impact. But it warmed my heart yesterday to hear the news that Antonio Gates was returning for a 16th season to play alongside his buddy Phillip Rivers. Mm-hmm. It gave me a sense of calm and stability in a world that is completely topsy-turvy right now. Antonio, for all that's going on in the world right now, it's a weird, rough place right now. But you know what? Antonio Gates and Phillip Rivers are together again for at least one more year. Mm-hmm. And you know what, Shane? That warms the Bry Man's heart to see. Yeah, I mean, I got some tears. I was, you know what? It was one of those things where I was just like, God, all you ever read is just like really bad, crappy news every day. And I saw this story and I was like, that just makes me feel good. Mm-hmm. It warms my heart. And that's when I was like, oh, I think that actually could be a good segment for the show. What warms the Brian Man's heart? Because very little does. This is like a black hole in
like
here.
Like the Grinch, your heart grew 3 sizes?
It grew 2 sizes that day. Yes, 3 sizes, yeah. I mean, I could lift a sled up with lots of toys. And it made me happy to see Antonio Gates go back to San Diego for one more campaign with Phillip Rivers. I mean, I don't know if he'll have any kind of impact at all, but you know what? They had a need. They had a need, especially after Hunter Henry went down, right?
Yeah.
So they had a big need. And actually, we did speculate about that a few weeks ago when that injury took place. I think I even said maybe they'll just bring Gates back for a year. And here we are. It does. And you know what? Listen, he's not going to be Hall of Famer Antonio Gates. He'll be a shell of himself, and I'm sure in some ways. But at the very least, it's good to see him and Rivers playing together again.
Damian posted, Patriots losses warm your heart. Particularly in the Super Bowl.
Patriots losses in the Super Bowl. Nah, that's not even heartwarming. It's more like relief. There's nothing heartwarming about it because the Patriots getting to the Super Bowl is still unbearable. But a first round exit by the Patriots would warm my heart. I would say that.
You might see that this year.
I'm going to try and make the heartwarming segment less about negative things making me happy and more about positive things making me happy. Like this, like Antonio Gates coming back to San Diego for one more year, as opposed to like, my heart is warmed because I'm feeding off of the misery of Patriot fans because their team didn't win the Super Bowl. I don't want it to be that way. I want it to be the other way. I want this to be a positive segment. Maybe this is me trying to turn my life around with this show.
Anytime Tom Brady walks on a field, you are well within your right to throw a big floppy on that field.
Jesus.
It's true.
That's what the Brian Man's usually like.
That's right. That's more. Yes, that's more me. That's
and where you earned that emoji with the swear mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, I love that. I love that you use the angry emoji.
And I have the glasses one for me.
And the glasses one for you. No, it's perfect.
Yeah, it works well. All right,
it does.
So now we're going to head on over to something else. After thank you very much for sharing the things that warm your heart.
No problem.
Very good segment. Even broke into a little tear started to come down with My Heart Will Go On.
Yeah. I should have told you to queue up Reunited before that segment because of Rivers and
Reunited. It feels so good. So Damien actually wrote, Shane, when the show is over, could you go over to the Brian Man's house and make sure he's okay? This sounds like a cry for help.
Isn't it funny? Like I'm trying to make a positive change, put a positive.
Wondering if you're all right,
and now he's wondering like if I'm okay.
All right, so we're gonna come back real quick. We're gonna send you over to. I wonder if I could do it. I'm going to see if I can do this. All right. I'm going to put up the Nick and Vince podcast real quick. They are friends of ours. We've been on their show. I think they might have been on our show. I can't remember. But Nick and Vince podcast, they are a podcast that kind of run the gamut of everything, like books and comics and movies and, everything. Yes, exactly. Yes. So you'll see they talk about everything. They're pretty fun guys. They live over in Minnesota and they have the accents that are amazing. So we're going to send it over to them. And then when we come back, we will head into our sorts topic, and then we'll end our show. All right, so here is the Nick and Vince podcast.
Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Vince.
And we're from the Nick and Vince podcast, where we talk about arts, movies,
comic books,
history, science, really anything pop culture related.
But we also have...
we have occasional guests like podcasters, authors, and comedians.
Well, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Podbean.
You can also like our Facebook page, Nick and Vince Podcast, and follow us on Twitter
at Nick and Vince. And now, back to Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bry Man.
I like the way he says my name. Little extra emphasis.
Yeah.
Shane and the Bry
Man. So we are back, and we're going to get into little sorts. You know, what is that? Where do I have the clip real quick? Yeah.
Swords! Swords!
Little Mr. Wendell coming at you.
Yeah.
Is this Arrested Development?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah. Nice.
They have a few good songs.
Oh,
yeah. We're going to talk The First Man. Or it's First Man. Is it just First Man? Or is it
the movie is called First Man.
And it's about Neil Armstrong landing on the moon. And there's some controversy. And I'll let the Bry Man kind of get into what the controversy is. Because it is something that, I don't know. I have my take on it. Like why they're doing what they're doing. But I'd like to hear what the Bry Man thinks in this. This sorts topic.
There is an accusation coming out that with this movie that the movie is anti-American, that it's sort of trying to push the Hollywood, quote unquote, if you want to call it, liberal agenda. Because the movie apparently does not show Neil Armstrong planting the American flag on the surface of the moon. And so, of course, Fox News jumped all over this. And a lot of conservatives jumped on it too, saying that this is again Hollywood sort of like pushing its agenda, its anti-Trump agenda and all that stuff. Ryan Gosling, who's the star of the movie, kind of, I don't know if you want to say it was vehemently denied it, but he said, look, these are his words. This story is human and it is universal. Of course, it celebrates an American achievement. It also celebrates an achievement for all mankind, as it says on the plaque Neil and Buzz left on the moon. So, you know, and then I think he goes on to say, no, that's pretty much the gist of it. And of course, guys like Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio have jumped in on this. I think this was I don't know if this was a quote / tweet, a tweet. I don't know if this was a tweet from Ted Cruz where he said, really sad, Hollywood erases American flag from moon landing. This is wrong and consistent with leftists disrespecting the flag and denying American exceptionalism. So I don't know what your take is on this. I don't think, first of all, let me be very clear. I do not think even remotely that this is Hollywood trying to push any kind of agenda on anyone. I don't think this is anti-Trump anything. I think the scene of them planting the flag on the moon should be in the movie because in my mind, when I think about that scene, when I've seen, you know, we've all seen the same footage, right?
Yeah.
We've seen the footage of Armstrong unfurling the flag and sticking it into the surface of the moon, and you hear the kind of, you know, rough transmission of one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. That's an iconic scene to me. And to me, it just seems like you're doing the movie a disservice by not having that scene in there. Mm-hmm. I don't care about the political side of it, because to me that's ridiculous. To me that's to me that's conservatives trying to basically stir the pot and push their own agenda, and then it turns into this back and forth between them and liberals, and it's just everyone's trying to push their agenda. I think you've done the movie a little bit of a disservice by not having that scene in there, because to me that's so much part of that sort of film strip that we have in our heads about what took place there. And it doesn't have to be this huge American pride thing. It's also sort of just a factual, representation of what took place. So to me, that's the disservice that's being done. Mm. I don't care about the agenda side of it. To me, there is no agenda side of it. That's just a couple of sides trying to, push their own viewpoint and their own perspective. To me, I think you leave that scene out, and it just feels like you're missing a part of the story. You've done a disservice to the story and to the movie, not to the flag.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I really feel this is ultimately, and it's not the best way to do it, but I do think it's kind of a brilliant marketing campaign for this movie. Because this is a movie that it probably would have made okay money, but with all of the controversy that's out there, it's going to up its dollar total tremendously. Because people are going to be like, oh my gosh, I got to go see this. Because of all the controversy. It's like there's negative and positive on both sides, and all of that is just good marketing. And I think that's basically probably the way they would do it. And you know what's going to happen when they release the DVD? They're going to have the cut where they plant the flag. It probably will happen, and you're going to see the flag in the DVD cut, in the director's cut, or the special edition, or whatever way they do it, so that they can make even more money on the back end. Because that's just what Hollywood does. And yes, they are. I do feel like it is probably a little bit of a liberal agenda, like they do, but I think that they're doing it this time, probably to make a little bit more money. But Damien's quote is absolutely the best. This is what he just wrote. He said, "The moon landing was faked. It was filmed by Stanley Kubrick. Of course, he was such a perfectionist, he insisted on filming on location, so..."
I would like Damien's thoughts on this, because I know how heavy he is into politics, and even though I don't believe this to be it's become a political thing because it was forced on us, but just from like a factual movie perspective, I'm interested in his thoughts on it.
Yeah, oh, he said he didn't write that joke, he stole it. I had such high hopes that was yours, and
it would have been a good one.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it anyway.
At least he didn't take credit for it. Yeah. At least he sourced his material.
You could have easily plagiarized that, and I wouldn't have known.
I wasn't going to go fact checking it.
Yeah, I just thought, it was the beautiful mind being the beautiful mind. So we're pretty much done with our show, but I that's what I feel about this movie. I think it's just a marketing campaign. It's a good way to market without having to do the normal marketing. I think spending a ton of money on commercials and airtime and all that kind of stuff.
I think Damien weighed in. Do you have the full? Yes. What did he say?
He said, without getting into the politics of American exceptionalism, I mostly agree with the Bryman. It's going to feel like a story that's missing something. I think it's this too. I mean, when we talked about this before the show, it's like when you were like, he's missing that. It's like, yeah, that's like you're leaving out historical facts. Like, yeah, that's kind of a big deal. But I think that it's going to be one of those things that
it's just that's an iconic.
It'll be interesting to see how they tell the story, though. Like how they wrap it up before planting the flag. Yeah. Like how they do that. That'll be interesting to see how they make it work. And it'll also be interesting to see, I won't go see this in the theater. I feel like, and this is just like me being the scared pessimist that I am, I'm not going to go see this in the theater because I can see that this movie being a target for the terrorist groups.
Oh God, seriously, yeah.
So I got to be terrified. I'm terrified.
I got a wife and 3 kids to think about.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'll be seeing this in the theater.
If you want to catch me at a movie theater this week, I'll be at the Nun, nunning it up with all the other horror movie freaks, scaring the crap out of myself. You know what's going to happen too? Because I'm going to go see the Nun. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go see it probably with a couple of friends. And on the way home, this is no joke. This is what's going to happen on the way home because I'll be driving in the car by myself on the way home. I'm going to be looking in that rearview mirror to see if there's something in my back seat, to see if Valak is in the back seat, ready to defile me because Valak is the defiler, of course. So that's what's going to happen, though. I would put the over/under at me looking in the rearview mirror as I'm on my way home from the Nun at like 20. I'd put the over/under at 20.
Wow, really?
Would be smart to take it over.
Will you? What will happen if you actually see the Nun in your back seat?
Die. It's that simple. You won't see me for Saturday's show. Let's put it that way.
Oh man.
Or any show after.
Hey Damien, if Brian gets killed by the Nun, can you fill in for him next Saturday?
and going forward. If Valak the Defiler gets me on Friday night or Thursday night, are you gonna take over?
Yeah. All right, so that's pretty much it for our show today. We thank you guys for sticking in there and listening for the hour, because that's our show is. It's 45 minutes to an hour, so that's it. Damien said, "You got it."
Yep. Thanks, Dame. You're a good man.
Go Nun go.
He's rooting for the Nun. But the good news is, if you know the demon's name, you do hold dominion over it. So if Valak is creeping around in my back seat, at least I know the demon's name, and I hold dominion. I'll be okay.
Okay. All right. So now we are officially leaving. We have 25 seconds. You can find us www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. Shane and the Bryman, Shane and Bryman on Twitter. You can find us at facebook.com/Shane and the Bryman. Email us, shaneandthebryman@gmail.com. Where can they find you?
Twitter, _Bry_man.
You can find me on Twitter at Einhornerspinkle. You can find Damien at DDYDYN on Twitter. And you can also look at all the stuff that he posts on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Shane and the Bryman. I'll put that out there again. Find us anywhere podcasts are played. And we thanks for listening today. And we'll be back again on Wednesday. And we're going to probably be doing top 8 quarterbacks in the game today.
Why 8? Nobody knows.
That's right, because 9 is a weird number.
Because we
10 is too many.
Do only 8. Stay classy, Planet Globe. We're out.
See you later. Rock it out. You can find Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bryman on iTunes or www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com.